So what I want to know is, at what point do you sit with yourself and think, what have all my efforts in life done to me? When you compete with other businesses, other individuals, for money, for fun, even for aesthetics. When you compete with others at a sport or with your grades, what cost comes to you and your heart and soul when you value yourself in comparison to others? What sort of disastrous detriment do you cause to your heart and your mind when you do what you do in relative to how everyone else around you is doing? When you're out there on a tennis court to win a game, and time again you return to the same tennis court with the same competitors, the same opponents, and you're keeping score and you're keeping track of the points, who's won how many times. When you're playing the game to see who gets more points, what is that gonna cause you to feel about yourself when you see that you haven't exactly racked up to what this other guy's doing? When you see that this person beat you 6 out of 10 times, how do you feel about yourself when you know, according to these numbers, according to this list, this keeping track of who does better, who technically gets more points, counting the numbers, writing it down, keeping score, keeping track, that determines who you play with next. Then, when you look back at yourself, what do you think? What do you feel? What are the immediate thoughts that come to your mind after you've observed that you've either beaten someone or lost against someone else? When you're competing with anyone but yourself, how does it cause you to see yourself in the end as a result of all this competition that you've enrolled in, so to speak? Like, when you're racing cars, horses, on foot, and you want to see how fast your time was, and you're not only comparing it to your fastest time the last time, but you're comparing it to everyone else's time. What is the effect on your self-esteem? What is the effect on the way you take care of yourself every day? What is the effect on your list of priorities and how they stack up against each other? What is the effect? At what cost do you choose to engage in competition? Now, this also exists on a spectrum. We have a type of competition in a capitalist nation where you have to some degree, compete with your neighbor for resources. Now, in the US, we are living in a first world country, meaning our poverty levels relative to third world countries in the world are fairly sustainable. We are a fairly rich nation, even among first world countries. However, there is still a level of competition that exists between private businesses, corporations, privately owned businesses. Did I already say that? Yeah. All I'm saying is we compete with our neighbors and our fellow citizens for money, food, houses, land, capital, land, labor, and capital. We all compete for those things so that we can stack up and have enough resources for the future. Resources in an economy are considered scarce. This means that there are few to go around. They are limited. When you try to feed a huge population on X amount of resources, they get spread pretty thin, meaning everyone competes for the thinly spread resources. Everybody needs enough to survive. And when you're taking it away, ergo opportunity cost from someone else, you better have a reason, you better have a way to get more than that other person. So we compete. This is like naturally existing competition. It doesn't matter if everyone on the planet is living with bare minimum. It doesn't matter if we are back to living in caves. There's always going to be this form of competition. What I'm getting at is it's kind of like a pyramid scheme. Not a pyramid scheme. It's like there's a pyramid, there's a spectrum, there's naturally occurring competition, then you work your way up. Okay, competing for resources. Then you might compete for fun. Say you're playing a checker tournament, and whoever wins each round of checkers advances up, plays against people who have won the checkers game more and more and more, and then people get beat, people get left behind, people don't get to play checkers anymore because they lost too many times. So they end up sitting there thinking, oh, I must be a crummy checkers player. I need to practice, I need to read, I need to fix this about myself because I've lost at this game with this other person. I mean, some people don't care. Some people couldn't give a damn about this game of checkers that they lost. Other people, that's all they want, is just to be really, really good at checkers. So they're gonna do everything in their power to make sure that they beat somebody at it next time they come back. And when you condition yourself to win, to do something different than you did before, your frame of mind, your thought process, it all changes and adapts to this new thing that you want to be good at. So when you spend more time practicing checkers, it takes that time away from other things you could be doing. It's called opportunity cost. Everything comes at a cost. The time you spend practicing checkers is taken away from how much time you spend brushing your hair. You get really, really good at checkers, and you've got this rat's nest on your head because practicing checkers is all you've been doing. Because you got so competitive unnecessarily. Now, this is the, black and white extreme situation here. Everything is on a spectrum, everything is relative. But I mean, if you take competition and you make it an utmost priority in your life to compete and get really good at a certain game, your heart, your soul, your inner being is going to suffer. Because you have forgotten that your soul does not exist to compete with others. Your soul thrives when it lives in harmony with others, when it shares with others, when it jives with others. The soul is not meant to be alone. Why do you think our population has blown up out of control? Because we, as humans, feel safe in a crowd. Some people have social anxiety, some people, there are cases for everything. But we cannot continue to compete at stupid sports and ultimately ultimately sacrifice our health to be good at a sport against others because it's just useless, pointless. You can play the game for fun, you can keep score for fun, but when you make it your life's goal to win this game against other people, you are giving up a critical part of your empathy for others.